Welcome back. Today we're going somewhere uncomfortable. We've all seen the 1960s and 70s portrayed as the era of liberation, but for a huge group of women, the grandmothers and great-grandmothers, it wasn't a revolution, it was a trap. Society told these women, we've raised your kids, now it's time to raise theirs. No one asked if they were tired, no one asked if their backs ached, they were just expected to be the silent anchor. Today, we're unfiltered. Let's talk about the pressure of the 24/7 grandmother. In the 1970s, the daughters were burning bras and heading into the office. That's great. But here's the part the history books leave out. Who was watching the kids? There were no corporate daycares in 1972. There were no apps to find a sitter. The liberation of the younger generation was often subsidized by the unpaid forced labor of their mothers. These women, many in their 60s or 70s, were being pulled back into the nursery just as they were finally tasting freedom for the first time in 30 years. If you said no, you weren't just busy, you were a bad mother and a cold grandmother. The guilt tripping was a weapon. Now let's talk about the great-grandmothers. Thanks to better medicine, for the first time in history, we have 4 generations living at once. Imagine being 78 years old, you've lived through the Great Depression, you've survived a world war, you've raised 5 kids. You should be sitting in a garden with a glass of tea. Instead, your granddaughter drops off a screaming toddler because she has a shift at the hospital and can't afford to pay for help. We're talking about women with osteoporosis lifting 30-pound toddlers, being the family peacemaker while you're trying to manage your own declining health. It wasn't a choice, it was a mandate. And if you complained, you were told you were lucky to have family around. Let's get real. A lot of the women were angry. In my research for this episode, I found stories of women in their 70s who felt like a permanent servant. They loved their grandkids, but they hated the role. They were exhausted. They wanted to travel. They wanted to join the Great Panthers and fight for social change, but they were stuck changing diapers again. The 60s and 70s culture romanticized the sacrificial matriarch, but sacrifice without consent isn't a gift, it's an obligation. The unfiltered truth is that many of our grandmothers were burnt out before burnout was even a word. So why does this matter now? Because we're still doing it. We still expect the older women in our family to be safety nets without ever asking what they're giving up to do it. To the women of the 60s and 70s who did it all with a smile while their knees were given out, we see you. We see the work you did that wasn't joyful, it was just hard. If you're a grandmother today, here's your permission. No is a complete sentence. Your legacy isn't defined by how much of yourself you set on fire to keep others warm. I'm Anna, and that's my say, unfiltered. Hit the comments. Did your grandmother have a life of her own, or was she the family anchor? Let's talk.